Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this. Welcome to Module 2. From where I sit, it's the morning of November 3rd. A couple minutes left in the morning, and yes, I'm ready for game day. By the time you see this, I'll probably be crying in my cereal, but I don't eat cereal, so no. Anyhow, let's get right to it, huh? Nobody wants to watch these things. Proof is in the numbers. So remember, you could still change your social issue until, module 2. That's going to be it. All right. There's a paper in module 2. It's a proposal. Once you get to that, that's kind of we lock in. We don't have enough time to. So that's why I try to help and encourage you or guide you in one way or the other. Please check your discussion board from module 1 to see what I said. Whether you had your idea. Most cases I talk about think local. No, think globally, act locally, right? The bumper sticker, because it's true. I think acting locally in social problems, you can identify social problems clearer when they're within your world, okay? You could be up in Maine and I'm in Phoenix. That's two different things in a lot of cases, right? So using a local angle, you don't have as many dynamics, and so therefore as many general dynamics, okay, like going national. So you can get into more specific dynamics, and in that way, you're getting a better experience on the front lines of social advocacy and change and the work to do. I tend to find that those that take a big, problem chunk out of something. I've had students try to do climate change, generally speaking, as I said, solve the Israel-Gaza crisis war. You can't do it. Please don't, because we're undergrad students. Having a big idea does not translate into a big high grade, okay? Because you're not gonna be able to do it, right? Think about it. It's like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you about brain surgery like I can do it. I can't do brain surgery. It takes a lot of work to be part of those, have that expertise. So be careful on what you're choosing. I'll give you feedback. I haven't looked at your first week papers yet. Short paper, I'll be doing that tomorrow and Tuesday. Hopefully get those done by Tuesday end of business. Also be aware, they tell me to tell you next week you're going to have a peer workshop. There's no discussion board this week, but next week I'm going to break up into groups of probably 4 to 5. It says 3 to 4, but I think that's too small. 4 to 5 seem to be a better response with that. Okay, so looking at the module 2, I'm not going to read it, but I want to just highlight these pages: perceptions and social change. There's your module theme, all right? Exploring human perception, very important, because we all perceive our worlds differently, okay? And it's very important to have a certain amount of empathy or understanding how we can see the world differently, okay? Beliefs, assumptions, and values, obviously huge of importance. Are we talking about, implicit and explicit bias? Learn what those types of biases are, okay? Implicit and explicit. Are we talking about the same thing? There's a section on that. It's huge. Being an interdisciplinarian, and in fact, this is an IDS prefix course, one of the essential components of interdisciplinary studies is finding common language, okay? And I don't think I mentioned it to this class yet, but if I ask you to think of a bridge, what are you going to think of? Imagine a bridge. Well, you might think of, over the overpass or the interstate, whatever, that's your bridge. Sure, that's great. But what if you're talking to dentists? What's the bridge going to be now? Now it's going to be in your mouth, right? But wait, hold on, there's more. What if you are talking to musicians? What's the bridge? I got you, didn't I? So, are we talking about the same thing? That's a exaggerated idea of that. But in different disciplines and things, there are different ways, different nomenclature and ways to define something. It's always good to be clear on what the other views are and such, right? Okay. researching to conquer your bias. It's important. Researching is the big one, the big word. I mean, it's academic research is big, but then you get also into doing your own research. I'm researching a trip, researching a new car. We use that word, and that's fine, right? We can also call it critical thinking, okay? Because you're trying to gather enough data and what knowledge came before you that informs you today. That's critical thinking and piercing something out. And finally, how about fact checking? Fact checking alone. We hear a lot in the news nowadays, things like that. And it's an important aspect of not just believing everything we see, okay? You younger folks in the group are much more adept maybe at that than I would be at my age growing up with just, a newspaper and 3 channels, okay? But so it's hard. So a lot of older folks get scammed by believing everything they hear and see. I don't though, not me. Okay, so there's some resources there, reading on experiential evidence for tipping points in social convention. There's a video, Danger of a Single Story. That's from a TED Talk by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, who is fabulous. She's a writer from Nigeria who really broke through 15 years or so ago. I've read a couple of her books, Purple Hibiscus, Half a Yellow Sun, about the Biafran War in Nigeria. Very good speaker on this topic of telling a story, okay, and how we do that. Okay, where'd my spot go? The danger of a single story, I should say, right? Okay, and all right, so doing historical research, there's an introduction to sociology reading, a video on doing historical research using technology and archives. Like I said, no discussion this week, but there are 2 papers, okay? One is the project proposal were 75 points. And please be aware of the rubric again. That's what I use to score, okay? Give me paragraphs, give me sections is great, please. You can bold the subsections if you want, okay? One big run through, and I got problems with comprehension of that, okay? As you would if you're reading that, okay? So there's another paper, Reflection, it's called Social Change Initiatives. You're gonna be looking at some case studies, and these are important to get your eye, get some context on what we're trying to do here, maybe at a smaller scale, of course, right? So talk about that. Now, I want to caution you on your papers as they develop, because you're developing your final paper even from now with the proposal. And that is to be careful that you're not editorializing, okay? There's a tendency for some to, let's take the Israel-Gaza conflict for a minute, okay? Someone could just start writing their paper and it turns into this biased thing that, either vilifies one side or the other, martyrs one side or the other. And the facts are somewhere in between, of course, okay? Because it's a myriad of dynamics and components and characters and actors and stakeholders, right? So we try not to editorialize, all right? Whether that's any provocative issue, okay? At least in an academic research setting. You going out to the bar or to wherever you talk to people and the cafe and you have at it, okay? But come prepared. As they say, bring receipts, right? Okay, so we want to keep ourselves out of it. Many times we are inspired to do a topic and a social problem based on our own experience, and that's fabulous, that's fine, that's great. However, we have to draw the line there, okay? We can utilize some of our knowledge, of course, on how to pursue the solution and strategies to the social problem. However, we keep ourselves out of it. We don't say, I went through this, I've had to deal with this, et cetera, because that's not it, or I always wanted to do a study on this because this and that. I take you back to high school or even any textbook that you've had, let's say history book, okay? You're reading a chapter on the Civil War, and somebody wrote that book, right? I mean, these just don't drop out of the sky, so someone writes these textbooks. Well, you didn't happen to read on any of your textbooks. I guarantee you that all of a sudden you got into a chapter and you're in 10th grade, 11th grade, and all of a sudden it says, I always wanted to write about the Civil War, so I'm glad I could write a high school textbook about the Civil War, because the Civil War has a lot of interest in me, as my great-great-grandfather fought on the side of blah, blah, blah. You never read that, right? Because A, you wouldn't care. You're just like, I don't care. Just let me learn about history, right? So take that as an example how that should inform you in proceeding. It's great to have the experience. You're good at it. Then you know it. You know a lot of the things, so you can pursue things a little better, right? Okay. And so let's see. Oh yeah, I want to mention formatting. Okay, I noticed a lot of students in this course, the 2 classes I have, which is wonderful, talk about going to grad school for MBAs, for whatever, psychology, for counseling, whatever, masters. They're going to grad school. Okay, that's awesome. What I want to tell you is make sure then that you know how to format, because whether or not your undergrad experience has emphasized formatting a paper in APA or what have you, you're going to get that in grad school. You are going to get it, okay? And you will get deducted and in trouble if you don't know how to format. Learn it now. Learn it while you got a little breathing room. I can help you out with that. I'll be looking for that. So if you are going to grad school, you can let me know in a know-it-all that you want me to look closer at your formatting or help you out. I'd be glad to do it, okay? All right, so I think that's all I got today, 11 minutes. They're getting better, but this is like when I used to have a blog. It's like, it was like the biggest, it was like having a diary under my mattress. Nobody read it, not even my mother. Okay, you guys have a good week. Can I say go Pack Go, or is that like going to trigger anybody? Okay, I hope not. All right, peace.